Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, June 4th, believe it or not. The 156th day of the year. There are 210 days left in the year 2024, and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tom. Well, we're almost halfway through the year, and I want to thank all of our guests so far this year. They've been interesting, they've been fun, they've been informative and enlightening, and we appreciate all of you. You've added vital information to our lives. Last week it was the Sullivans, Jean and her son Patrick, and the issue of CTE. Very valuable information. One of the things we like about this show is its diversity of thought. One week we're dealing with a serious medical issue like CTE, throat cancer, and just a week before, everything was posh with our guest from Miami, Portia Dejan, and her Miami Posh Boutique. Gerald Watkins from Birmingham hit a home run with his reporting on the big Major League Baseball game at Birmingham Rickwood Field, the oldest ballpark in the country. It will be the San Francisco Giants versus the St. Louis Cardinals. Man, that is too cool. Yeah, for Birmingham, my hometown. We started off the month of May with Sidney Melanik and Chris Malinsky from Auburn, Alabama, and Elisa Alexander from Northern California as we learned about the current exhibits at the Auburn Museum of Art on the Auburn University campus. So, what's ahead this month? Well, we're going to start you off with a roundtable. Me, Michael, Barbara, and the TWT team talking about current issues. We like to do those every so often. But also, you, the audience, can participate through the chat. Sean will pass your comments on to us. So, our G-list guest today is the TWT team. That's all of us. That's Michael, Barbara, Joyce, Sean, Emily, and Isaiah. And so our show today, of course, is sponsored by the Best Gurl Consulting Firm. So let's hear from Best Gurl.
Best Gurl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Gurl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Gurl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Customizes the solution that fits your needs. So let's go to our roundtable regulars, Barbara Wallace-Edwards and Michael Walker. Good morning, Barbara Wallace-Edwards. How are you?
Good morning, Tom. I'm doing well, other than frustrated this morning. Frustrated with good old Facebook.
Well, you use it quite a bit, so they've messed you up, huh?
They have messed me up, and I know a lot of our friends and viewers that watch our show are used to me sharing information about our Tuesdays with Tom show with everyone and posting it on everybody's page and in all the groups all over the world. And I haven't been able to do that because I've been locked out of Facebook since the weekend. And so it appears that someone has hacked my account, and I'm trying desperately to recover. I thought I had help last night from Facebook. They sent me an email saying, they restored my activity. I could get back into my account, and I attempted once again. And now they're asking for a 2-factor authentication code that I set up, that I didn't set up. So the hacker has. It's just continuous round of confusion right now and frustration, but hopefully I'll get through that.
Imagine. Wow.
Yes.
Well, hopefully you will. I don't understand why somebody would want to do that. Why would you want to deal with somebody else's account?
I just can't understand it, but I do want to warn everyone, if they get some type of message from me asking to send money or asking for some type of financial assistance, please do not send anything. Don't respond. Report it as spam. If you get a friend request from me, it's not me, unless I tell you it's probably going to be in a different name or something will be different about the account, and I'll let people know if I actually have to set up a new Facebook account. But if anything out of the ordinary appears on my page, just know it's not me.
So if you get something from Barbara, you may want to check it 2 or 3 times before you respond to it.
Absolutely.
Because it probably won't be her if it's on Facebook in the next couple of days or so. That's
Right.
where we are, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
Well, thank you.
I don't know why. I can't figure out why somebody wants to do that. I had somebody want to hack me one time, and it's like, well, why would you want to be me? I mean,
Exactly. I mean, be happy with who you are. Leave everyone else alone.
Right.
I don't get it either, and it makes absolutely no sense. I don't know. So far, it doesn't appear that they posted anything strange on my page. I have people checking that. And to my knowledge, again, no one's said they've received any kind of strange message from me. So I just don't understand why. And if you've ever been locked out of Facebook or had a situation similar to this, you know there's no way to talk to anyone at Facebook. You can't talk to them. You can't email them directly. They have all these links you have to go through, and it asks you specific questions. You can only answer those questions. And once you do, they'll say, okay, we'll help you get back in, but it may take us, 48 hours to 72 hours. And they did respond. Like I said, I got help, I thought, last night, and I was so excited. I immediately went there and followed the instructions, and it's like, okay, now enter your 2-factor authentication 6-digit code. I'm thinking, I don't have one. I didn't set that up. So they still don't realize, I guess, that the page has been hacked.
Well, I'm sorry about that. That sounds like a pain in the where.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I thank you for that.
Well,
but on a good note, I had a chance to go to a cooking class with my 10-year-old great nephew on yesterday, and I'll be going after the show today and the rest of the week. He's been learning how to bake. He's always been interested in acting and cooking. So his mom enrolled him in a cooking class. My great nephew, Kyrie, 10 years old. And I must say, I was so impressed with the chef who was teaching this class. And I mean, she's going through all the details. She had them measuring out the ingredients for, they made garlic cheddar cheese biscuits yesterday. And I'm just amazed that these kids from age 7 through 11, they are actually measuring the ingredients. She's making them understand why they're having to put it in certain orders in order to make the consistency of the dough properly, and the chemical reactions it could cause if you don't actually add the right amounts at the right times. And I learned some things yesterday, so I'm looking forward to today's class as well. We're going to make baked chocolate pie today. So
how often is the class?
It's an annual class, and this is Kyrie's first year.
They go every day or what?
They go every day for a week. This is just a week-long class.
Okay.
So and then they have another class later on in the summer that for a little bit older group of kids. So there's about 20 kids in the classroom. They were all attentive and paying attention, and I was, again, totally impressed with the class and what the chef that's teaching the class.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Yes.
Good deal. Let's get Michael on here and see what he's cooking up for us. How about that?
Yes.
Michael Walker, how are you?
Good morning, TG. Good morning, Barbara.
Good morning.
Are you cooking up anything for us this morning?
Well, I don't know. I've already eaten, so I've turned the stove off.
You've already eaten and your Facebook is working. Okay.
Yeah, he got me beat on all accounts. So,
Barbara, I'm sorry about your frustration. I know how frustrating it is, especially now trying to communicate with organizations that don't want to talk. Seems like nobody want to talk. You could, resolve an issue if you could just communicate with somebody without having to go through this email or these links and all this stuff. But,
right. Thank you.
You just tell them what the issue is, because most of the
time
those questions they're asking you aren't relevant to you.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's so true.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing about this, answering these questions, you may answer the question right because it's a question that's personal to you,
Right.
But somebody on the other end had put in another answer, and then they'll be telling you that you're wrong. I've had that situation before, you know,
Yes.
and I had to say, look, I know what city I was born in.
Right.
Okay? How you
They're
gonna
gonna
tell
tell
me?
you. They're gonna tell
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all to frustrate you. But thinking and talking about being frustrated, did you guys hear about the 8 African American men that were removed from American Airlines flight back in January? It happened at they had boarded a plane in LA, flying to Phoenix, and then getting a connecting flight, and then going on, I think, to New York or somewhere. But according to the lawsuit, a white male flight attendant complained about body odor on the flight. As a result, they removed 8 men. They were all black, the only black people on the plane. And they told them that it was because of a complaint of body odor.
Wow.
So American Airlines started trying to rebook these guys on a different flight. Now, mind you, these guys didn't know each other at all. They weren't traveling together, but they just happened to be black males, and they were removed. When American Airlines were unable to get them booked on other flights to go on about their journey, they had to bring them back on. One of them said that they were able to come back on after one of the captains came over and said, you know, we had a delay because of a foul body odor. We are now reboarding.
Wow.
And so these guys say they were just totally humiliated.
Yes.
Embarrassed, all the stares that they were getting and stuff. And
Were they
business, huh?
Were they sitting in close proximity to each other?
No, they were just sitting all through,
scattered throughout the plane.
Well,
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
That
they
sounds
are
like a
now-
lawsuit to me.
Well, they have filed a lawsuit. That's what this is about, is that they filed a lawsuit about it. American Airlines saying that they are looking into it. You know, this is not according to their culture or their policies or what have you. And, you know, it just doesn't make sense that the only people that were removed were 8 people, and they were all black.
And
I
they
mean, how
weren't
did you
sitting together? That's the thing.
Yeah, right. They wasn't sitting
Tom,
together.
not only were they not sitting together, they didn't even know each other. They weren't traveling together.
That is totally humiliating to
Yes.
be removed from the flight and then be brought back on, and the captain announces that it was because of foul odor. Yeah, that's
Yes.
definitely a lawsuit. That's probably easily won, I would imagine. I just can't even imagine being in that position.
Yeah. They said the plaintiffs experienced profound feelings of embarrassment, humiliation, anxiety, anger, and distress. That was described in the court documents. And when they were reboarding, the announcement was to inform fellow passengers that the delay was due to a so-called body odor issue as they are coming back in.
Wow.
So just totally embarrassed.
Absolutely. And where were the flights going? I mean, where was it from?
They boarded in Los Angeles and they stopped in Phoenix to change and get a connecting flight to continue on.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's
Did they identify the flight attendant?
No.
In this article, of course.
No,
not.
it only says a
White
white
male.
male flight attendant. And not only that, supposedly the complaint said the odor, the body odor, was from an unidentified passenger. So between that, an unidentified passenger, they got 8 African American men and removed them from the plane.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. That's beyond interesting. That's crazy.
Absolutely. That is wild. Well, hopefully that flight attendant will lose his job, and those men will be compensated for their anxiety and humiliation they've had to endure.
Yeah. And Tom, you said on the show that hopefully we won't talk about former President Trump, but I just have to make this comment.
That's because I knew we would. Go ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear. I want to hear.
It's part of current affairs. Now, he has been convicted of felonies. Okay. Now, I understand that some of these, or most of these, started out as misdemeanors. They were upgraded to felonies. All of this is really about him creating falsified financial documents. All of his stuff is about that. That other case in New York is about falsified documents, getting loans and stuff like that. But be that as it may, he's a convicted felon, 34 counts. Now, do you know, if you wanted to, Barbara, RUTG, to go work in the White House, and you had a felony, you cannot work in the White House.
Absolutely.
In the West Wing of the White House.
Can't get clearance.
You cannot get a low-level clearance.
Right.
As a felon. Now, here's a man that has 34 of them, and he can run for president, and people are going to vote for him. And the only reason he's going to have clearance or be able to work in the White House and have access to top secret information is because of the position, not because of the person.
Right.
Wow.
What does that say about our government?
Well, I'm going to go a little further with you. When I was playing ball at Auburn, we had great years. One year we were 9-2, one year we were 10-1, one year we were 10-2, one year we were 6-6. The year we were 6-6, we had a lot of dissension on the team. We had guys who had been accused of smoking marijuana, so they were the bad guys. We put them over here in this category here because y'all bad. And then we had the Christians over here. They were good because they were Christian, and stuff. And so yesterday on talking about Facebook, one of those guys who was one of the biggest Christians was on there endorsing the former president. Mm-hmm. And I thought, my God, what kind of God are you worshiping, man?
Yeah.
So
unfortunately, Tom, some of these people have replaced God with Trump. And,
but the first thing I thought, I felt vindicated.
Right.
I said, now I know why I didn't like him.
Right.
I knew I didn't like him. I didn't like him then. I don't like him now.
Right. Yeah.
What is wrong with you, man? What God are you worshiping?
Well, it's interesting to hear how certain people are justifying voting for him, and they're separating all of this as if that doesn't matter. So in this particular instance, moral character and convictions do not count to be president. They're focused on policies and getting the economy back right and doing so. That's how a lot of people are justifying this. I find it very ironic that Trump and his lawyers now are trying to go back and have Fonnie Willis disqualified over a conflict of interest, so to speak.
Right.
Because of a romantic affair with Nathan Wade. And you compare that to where he is, that has nothing to do with her case. Her case is about trying to overturn an election, which is a federal offense. And if he gets convicted of that, that'll be a federal felony that he has. And that could really cause some issues. But I just find it ironic that they're going back to that and trying to get her disqualified so that she cannot try the case. Because this particular case in New York was a low water mark. It was a low bar. Right. It supposedly was the least sensitive case there is.
Right.
So if he was found guilty there, what do you think the prospects are moving forward?
Well,
We all know what the prospects are, Michael. And again, how people can continue to support this man, I do not understand, especially those who label themselves as Christians, Tom. Those who are in church every Sunday and posting on social media about the Bible, and they believe in God and they can support this type of activity. I do not understand it at all.
I think I think hopefully the polls aren't correct. And there was an article I read yesterday about Republicans. The headline says Republicans ex-MAGAs vote secretly for Biden. That they're voting for Biden, but they can't tell anybody that they're voting for Biden because they're not going to vote for the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think there'll be in South Carolina primary, about 60,000 Republican voters who pollsters said supported Trump voted for Haley instead. In Michigan, it was 167,000. In Virginia, it was 223,000. In Vermont, it was 24,000. So maybe somebody's getting it. They just can't say it.
I would hope, but people like Nikki Haley even have come out in support of Trump, who, was on opposite ends with him when she was running against him, but now she can be supportive of him. And of course, Tim Scott and all those people, I think they're hoping they're going to get the VP nod. It's all, I guess, in the framework of trying to get on the ticket.
Tim Scott's going to have to go find that girlfriend
again. So he can have another photo op. Hopefully she's still available.
Are you guys insinuating that was staged?
Of course we are. That's not even insinuation, Michael. We're saying it. Hopefully she's still available for hire.
Yeah, I hear you. So, what do you guys think about the NBA championship? Who do you like?
I don't know. That's a kind of a toss-up, Tom, to me. And the reason why I say that, I know that Boston has probably more talent and they're more athletic, but they also have a tendency to play inconsistent as well.
I agree.
And they also will be a little bit undisciplined in shooting threes and stuff. I see that as possible problem. Dallas, on the other hand, they just really are not supposed to be there. Right. I think they were the 5th ranked team in the Western Conference Final.
They were 4th or 5th, yeah.
4th or 5th, yes.
But given that, they weren't even supposed to be there. And somehow they just keep winning. And, Luka Doncic, you got to give it to him. He's another one of these slow motion players.
Yes.
He's a Larry Bird all over again.
All over again. He don't look like he can play like that, but he's
that guy that plays for maybe Milwaukee. I can't think of his name. He used to be with the Spurs, but they call him Slow Mo. He does everything real slow. But he's an effective ball player.
It's so funny though when I had and Tom, Anthony and stuff. My friend Anthony, we were coming up, we were playing basketball, and he's real wiry and skinny, and he moving so fast. He take it behind his back to his leg, take off and forget the ball, then come back to get it, and then the man that was guarding him be sitting there like, "What happened?" It was hilarious to see that. But when you look at Luka Doncic dribbling the ball down the court, he looks like over the hill has been athlete at the rec, trying to dominate. Because he's going down the court, he's got the dad body and stuff.
If you saw him in the gym, you wouldn't choose him.
That's right.
No, right. If you
now,
didn't know any better,
he can't play. He'd be the last person picked. Yes. But
Well, I
tell
tell
you
you
what.
what, he's not nearly as tall, but he's like Larry Bird in
Yeah.
that he's slow as hell, but buddy, he can play some back.
He's effective.
He can shoot that three,
Oh,
and
yes.
then he talks smack too.
Yeah. Yeah, he talks smack, and what's so funny about him playing slow motion, he's so slow with his moves, and in particular, somebody that's fast and have fast twitch muscles, because in basketball, you're supposed to take the angle and beat them. So
Right.
he's going this way. So somebody's real quick is going to run over there to block him, and cut him off. But he's so slow, he can stop and go back the other way.
And they're still going.
And they're still going.
They're still going in the opposite direction. Yeah.
Well, I agree
He's
with.
effective.
I don't know. I think Dallas is tough, and Boston to me overall has the better talent.
Yes.
Overall,
Yes.
if they get Porzingis back and so on and so forth, but Dallas just refuses to lose. So
Yeah,
it's because I think Milwaukee had the better talent than
Right.
Dallas.
Right.
But,
yeah.
man,
They didn't win.
You mean Minnesota?
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota, yeah.
Yeah.
I said Milwaukee,
Yeah.
yeah. Minnesota, yeah.
And what about your boy Kyrie rather?
Yeah.
I like Kyrie.
Kyrie's a baller, man.
He
Yeah,
is.
he is.
I was
He
looking at his
is.
shoes for about 2 games. I kept looking like, what does he have on his feet? And so one of my boys from Dallas, who's a Dallas fan, I sent him a text message. I say, what is Kyrie wearing out there? Is he wearing some moccasins or Peter Pan shoes? About a game later, there was an article, and he said he was honoring his Cherokee heritage, and those were some specially built moccasin tennis shoes for him to play.
He's part Cherokee, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I like both the teams, and I'm not gonna choose one. I'm gonna be happy
I just
whichever
like to see
team
it be a
wins.
good fun game.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a good
Yeah.
series. So it's
I
gonna
think so,
be
too.
interesting. Yeah.
It's interesting, the 2 coaches, too.
Yes.
And, one
They
is
play
more
against each
decorated
other.
in playing in the league. Joe
Mhm.
Mazzulla played, but he didn't have as of a decorated career in the league, and
Right.
he went a different way, but they're both there playing in the finals. I think it's pretty interesting.
It is very interesting.
Okay. Well, let's move on because Sean's got a minute for us, and we got a special G list today. So let's go to Sean. Sean, you got a minute for us?
Good morning to everyone joining in with us. My name is Shantia Jones, and this is Got a Minute. Hello, June. Tell me everything. June is such an exciting month, a time where we acknowledge celebrations such as Pride, Juneteenth, Caribbean, American heritage, and much, much more. June is also a time when the 19th Amendment to the Constitution granted women the right to vote. It was passed by Congress and sent to the states for ratification. During the Reconstruction era, the 15th Amendment was adopted, granting African American men the right to vote, but the Republican-dominated Congress failed to expand its progressive radicalism into the sphere of gender. In 1869, the National Women's Suffrage Association, led by Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, was formed to push an amendment to the United States Constitution. In 1890, Wyoming became the first state to grant women the right to vote. Fast forward to 1919, the 19th Amendment, which stated that the rights of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any states on the account of sex. Both houses passed of Congress and was sent to the states for ratification. 8 days later, the 19th Amendment took effect. Despite the passage of the amendment and the decades-long contributions of Black women to achieve a suffrage, poll taxes, local laws, and other restrictions continued to block women of color from voting. It would take another 50 years for all women to achieve voting equality. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this is Got a Minute.
Thank you, Sean. So let's go to our G list. And our G list guests today are the TWT team. And that would be all of us: Barbara, Michael, myself, Emily, Sean, and Joyce. And so we're going to welcome everybody onto the show. And we're going to start out with Miss Emily Hedrick, who's got to a little bit tell us a story about her weekend over Memorial Day. So, are we going to bring everybody up? There they are. There she is. There you are. And Sean. Okay. Well, Emily, you got it.
Okay, so last Memorial Day or last weekend, Memorial Day weekend, I went to Delfest. It is a bluegrass festival in my hometown of Cumberland, Maryland. It was the 16th year of Delfest, but there is some debate about the number of years because 2 were canceled because of COVID. So there were like online versions. But yeah, it's been there for 16 years. We missed the first year. We didn't go the first year because we didn't really know about it. But every year since the second year, my dad and I have gone. And for a while, for almost all of those years, other than the first year, we volunteered with the beverage team. And so I did it before I was legally allowed to serve. So I had to be cashier for like 3 years. But yeah, this year I actually didn't volunteer, and I just got to enjoy the 4-day festival.
Okay. Good deal. So they have it in the same location?
Yeah, it's at our the Allegheny County Fairgrounds.
Okay.
So it's basically like there's an old track, and then in the middle of the track is where the big stage is. And then there's 2 other stages that are spread out.
Okay. Did you get some photos for us?
I did. I did a little collage, if we want to share that.
Okay.
I know I was going to say, I don't know, Sean. Yeah, so you can see down in the bottom corner. So my whole family pretty much went this year. My mom has been one time, but she doesn't normally go. So that's my mom and Isaiah and I down in the bottom left corner. Of course, me, Jay, and Isaiah. And then on the right side is my dad and my brother's daughter, and my sister, Delaney. And then just a couple pictures so you can see, like I said, up at the top right side. So there's grandstands that look down on the track. And so you can go up in the grandstands and just kind of hang out, chill out for a little while. But that is like the main music meadow. And you can see the mountains, and those mountains right there are West Virginia. So it's really cool.
Okay. Michael, Barb, either one of you got a question for Emily?
I do. Emily, tell us about some of the acts who performed there. Which ones were your favorite this year?
So, for 16 years, I've seen a lot of bands. And I mean, before Delfest ever came, like my family, we didn't listen to bluegrass. We listened to like classic rock and country and all the other things. But I guess it was, after maybe 2 or 3 years, a friend of mine introduced me to the infamous String Dusters, because their sound guy, Drew Becker, is actually from Cumberland. So, it was back 15 years ago or whatever. So I had a couple like burnt CDs that were from the String Dusters. And so I became a really big fan of them. And I try to catch them anytime that they're around, down here in Atlanta or Birmingham or anything like that. They weren't there this year, but that's my history of getting into, bluegrass. And so my favorite act that was there this year is probably Sierra Farrell. She is more of like an Americana folksy kind of singer. Unfortunately, though, her set was on Sunday evening and it stormed. So it got cut a little short.
Okay.
But she's really good. I mean, if you look, I did throw in the lineup. I can pull it up real quick, but you can see like, so Del McCurry, it's called Del Fest. It is because of Del McCurry. He is the main founder of the festival. And he's pretty much a bluegrass legend. I think he's 85 and he still tours, and he has an amazing, very high, lonesome kind of voice. But his sons are in his band, and then they also have their own band called the Traveling McCurrys. And then you can see some of the others, like Old Crow Medicine Show made Wagon Wheel famous. You know, some of those. Lucas Nelson, Willie Nelson's son, was there this year. So it's always like a good mix of bluegrass, Americana, you know, kind of jammy, crazy country kind of stuff. So, but it's always good. You can always find little gems. There's 3 stages running pretty much at all times. So you can go out to the main stage, you can go to the smaller stage, or you can go inside. There's a multi-purpose building. I always laugh about that too, because I'm always like, this is where I took my AP test in high school. But they have a stage there during the day, so you can go inside and just kind of sit down and get a little shade, or if it's storming or something, you can go in there.
Right.
Well, ever since I've been knowing you, and I guess that's been about 7 or 8 years, or maybe a little more, maybe a little less, I've been hearing about the string dusters and Dale.
Yeah,
Anybody got a question for Emily? Any of you guys, Michael, Barbara, Joyce?
Yeah, Emily, and I understand that you raise money for charities at Del Fest, and you guys have raised over $250,000 or something like that. And I think this time you adopted a Habitat for Humanity or something, so that's good. But tell me this: what's a Del Bow?
Oh, it's like a high five, but with your elbow.
So you're telling me you got a bunch of people out there drinking beer, running around trying to give each other an elbow instead of a high five? Yeah. You got some black eyes coming that way, I would say.
No, that doesn't happen too much, but I think you got a pretty good warning, and people are not very forceful with it. It's more of like, it's like a handshake kind of. So friendly
elbow, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny. I didn't give any Delbos this year, I don't think.
Was this something that started after COVID, or has there always been the Delbo instead of the high five?
Always. I don't know the origin story, but at some point, and it was definitely before COVID.
Okay.
But yeah,
interesting.
A Delbo.
So I know Isaiah was much younger last year and probably didn't really realize what was going on. He's a year old this year. So how did he react to his first awareness of Del Fest?
So if you know me, I love music. You know that Isaiah's been to in the womb, he went to a couple concerts, but then outside of the womb, he's also gone to almost probably 6 or so concerts. So yeah, as he's grown, it's gotten more interesting. We went to a concert in April, and that was the first time that he was very I had him facing forward. He'd be now every time a song ends, he claps. But yeah, I mean, he loved it. He loves to dance, and I joke with everybody. I'm like, it doesn't matter what kind of music is on. I can have on Jeopardy or the Wheel of Fortune, and the background music starts playing, and he just starts bobbing his head. So he loved it. And Del Fest is very, very kid and family friendly. There are so many families out there. There's a kid zone. There's just all sorts of stuff going on. So what we have done just in the last 2 years, because my brother also has a daughter, and she's just a year older than Isaiah, but we go up front for the music that we want to see, but during the day we put up a canopy way in the back, just so we have kind of I kept calling it the home base. So there's somewhere where there's shade, and we have our cooler or little snacks and stuff like that. So back there in the back is where all the kids are. And I mean, they're running around, playing with balls, playing with bubbles. So he just wanted to play with everybody. He's all into waving. So he waved at literally everybody at Delfest, I think. He really enjoyed it. And like you said, I mean, last year he was only 3 months. So my mom would come and get him a lot and take him home. And, he'd just come out for a couple hours. But yeah, this year he did not want to miss anything. He did not want to take naps because he would miss something. So but he really did have a good time. It was really fun.
Emily, are people spending the night out there? Or you leave and go back? Or how is it?
So I'm not a local, but it is really funny because anybody who's like local, they're like, no, we don't camp. Like, I don't camp anymore. We used to, especially in the very early years, like my senior year of high school, me and my dad went and camped, and then I got in my car and went to school the next day. But no, I don't camp anymore. Jay and we had some friends, they came, they camped. A lot of people do camping. There's RVs. There's like a glamping that you can pay for that's already set up. But no, I don't camp. Maybe if we have an RV next year, I will camp, but I'm good on the tents and all that. Cause I mean, it's fine, but the worst part, and you can probably still hear it on me a little bit, but it always happened, it's Memorial Day weekend. So in Maryland, like everything starts to bloom. And so it's like every year I get this, allergy kind of thing. So I'm like, I'm not spending any more time outside than I need to.
And what was the crowds like, Emily? How many people normally attend each year?
I'm so bad at numbers. According to this article that I read yesterday, it says like 10,000 people a day, but wow. I don't really understand how they count the number because, a lot of people buy a 4-day pass. Right. So I don't know if that is one person counted 4 times, or like how exactly they do that. And then there are people like my mom got a 2-day pass. So she came out for Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
Thursday is only like a half day anyways. Music doesn't start until like 4:30 that day. Okay. So a lot of people don't come until Friday or Saturday when they're off work.
See.
But it's a lot of people. And going back to Michael talking about the charities, every beer station, there's a tip jar out in front of, but all of those tips go to local charities. So I think also in that article, I think it's like, at this point, through all those years, Delfest has donated like $750,000 to the local community. Plus, I mean, just think about the economic impact of hotels and restaurants and, all the little shops where people are going to like buy last minute things. And it's a good time. It's excellent. I love it.
That's great.
Good to hear. Anybody else?
Well, as far as the question, I would just say I would love to go there sometime. And I'm just imagining being out there like that. There's probably a certain odor that's infiltrating the air out there, I would say.
I think I know what you're talking about, and it's legal in Maryland, but no, I mean you do smell it, but it's not. Again, it honestly, like, I went there my whole 20s. Like, it's not. Yes, there are people drinking, there are people doing drugs, like smoking weed and doing whatever, but it's not just in your face, and it's never like that. Like, yes, you may smell it, but it's very chill.
I'd love to go. I'd love to.
Me too.
Yes.
Yes.
Too.
And two, like, I mean, there's hotels, there's shuttles. I mean, Cumberland is small, but there are options. So yeah, you should definitely go.
And Emily, you mentioned
I would love to.
You mentioned you carry your own coolers and your tents and all of that. So are there vendors selling food and drinks, or are you allowed to bring whatever you want to into the venue?
Yeah, so there are vendors out in like the main area. Before you go in the grandstands is where most of the vendors are. There are some on the infield, but not very many. Okay. And so like there is a giant beverage station. They don't want you, I mean, you cannot bring in your own beer. Like you cannot
Right.
stuff your backpack full of beer and go inside because they want you to
Right.
buy beer. But like, especially with us having, you know, small children, like we had coolers, we had snacks, we had that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
no big deal about that. There's water fill up stations. So if you have a water bottle, you can go fill up your water. Yeah, because some of those hot days, there is not a shade, an inch of shade anywhere
Right.
out there on that
Right.
meadow. So it's good to, you know, it's all those water stations and just having different options for food and drinks is definitely important during that
Yes.
time. Mm-hmm.
Sounds like we need to plan a TWT road trip next year.
Yes.
Do the show
Yes.
from there.
I don't
Think
know.
you're
You
right,
guys would
Joyce.
probably have to put me in a bubble and roll me out from all the pollen.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
I
It
will
was
be
like,
with you, Sean.
I think it was like the
Pollen.
second day we were up in the grandstands and Isaiah was just like, you know, walking down the bleacher with his hand just got, and all the white pollen's just flying off. It was great.
Well,
Thank you for having me talk about it. Mr. Gossam, you don't have any questions for me?
well, I was going to say that when we first started doing this, I asked you if you would come on and talk, and you said, no way.
She's
So,
matured.
things have evolved. No, I'm just glad. We want to see the little man. Where is he?
Where's Isaiah?
He's learning right now.
Where's he?
Rachel.
Okay, good deal.
He's watching.
No, I'm glad you guys. You know, I've never been. I don't know much. What I know about it, I've learned from you. So it's become like an annual thing, even though I've never been. You know.
Right. But Tom, you know, it sounds a lot like city stages that used to be held here in Birmingham. I think you were familiar with city stages and how they'd have the different stages here and acts and the 3 kind of event. So very similar, just a different type of,
music.
Genuine music, right? Genre music. But yes, it's very similar.
Yeah. One thing I do say, we have a friend who is connected with the McCurries and he wasn't there this year and I haven't texted him, but I wanted to text him and be like, no job is more important than Delfest. Where were you? Because where were you?
How dare you?
I know. But yeah, I always joke with people, and I don't go home for Christmas every year, but I always used to say I only go home for Delfest and Christmas.
So it might not make it for Christmas. You'll be there for Delfest.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Great.
Every single year.
That is great. All right, anybody got anything else?
Well, I got something I'll just share with you guys. I know that, Tom, you're a pet lover, and I don't know about you, Barbara, and stuff, but, you know, there's a estate in Alabama of a woman who left behind $2 million for the care of 19 dogs and cats and is caught up in probate court right now. She passed away in 2014, leaving 6 cats and 13 dogs and an estate valued at more than $2 million. So now these animals now are just rich. The holdings include 200 acres in North Jefferson County, Alabama, a bar, a grill, a 10-unit apartment building, a flea market, gun store, and a winery.
Wow.
And
Wow.
now that it's caught up in probate court where the circuit court is trying to move forward, and, you know, and the Humane Society of the United States has been listed as a residentiary beneficiary. So I guess they're going to get the land and stuff. And her will states that the money is supposed to go for the animals until all of them have passed away. And then the rest of it can be divvied up to the various parties that's interested. Can you imagine that?
So that's been 10 years ago, Michael. Where are these pets living? Where are the animals living right now? Who's taking care of them?
Well, the Humane Society, they're taking care of him right now in the
Okay.
meantime, you know, and
Okay.
she has enough property to do it, but it's caught up in
Yes.
court. So
Okay.
you got 6 cats and 13 dogs walking around as millionaires. Stuff.
Very
On 200
interesting.
acres.
Yes.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, and so it's hung up in courts there in Birmingham, Alabama. I thought that was pretty interesting.
That is interesting.
Mhm.
Something like that is going on. And the fact it's going through court just like these are living human beings.
Right.
You know?
Mhm.
And you got circuit court and probate court just fighting over procedural matters.
Wow.
Wow.
Mm.
Well, the world gets crazier and crazier. You know, we talked about NIL. Deion Sanders' son Shiloh has filed for bankruptcy
Yes.
because somebody's suing him for $12 million in damages after he was supposedly an assault. This is all as a result of the NIL money. One of the guys,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
a guy at the University of Florida is suing the coach over a failed NIL deal. So this stuff
Oh, my
is going to get
goodness.
crazier and crazier as it goes.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, a little tidbit to that, Tom, is that quarterback that's suing the Florida Gators and Billy Napier, the coach, he's now at Georgia.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and Michael, did he ever attend Florida? Did he attend another school and then
He
transfer
went to
Georgia?
another school because the NIL deal fell apart and they didn't give him the
Okay.
money. I think he went out to Arizona State and now he's
Right.
at Georgia.
But when they first started the NIL, they said that they wasn't paying them just to come to their school. In other words, you wasn't using the NIL to attract them to the school. Come on, man. Yeah,
That's exactly what they were doing.
Exactly.
How else would you go?
Yeah.
You know?
Right. So basically, they promised this guy a certain amount of money or some financial deal. They backed off, so he decided not to go to Florida. He ended up at Arizona State. Now he's at Georgia, but he's saying he wants the money that Florida promised him from the beginning.
Yeah, evidently it was a contract and stuff, and so they have voided the contract, so he's suing them now. And Kirby Smart allowed him to speak about it and stuff, you know, and they're trying to say, what is going on with this? A quarterback that's now at Georgia is suing the University of Florida, one of their rivals, and the head coach, you know, and Georgia's supporting that. And speaking of Georgia, I got to tell you guys, this is funny. This year, Georgia is hosting Auburn for homecoming.
I saw that, Michael. How disrespectful.
Yes,
How
and that's
disrespectful is that?
That's how all the players at Auburn are
Yes.
feeling and saying, "Oh, how disrespectful!" But here's the funny part: when Georgia put up the advertising and they're promoting the game, they said Auburn versus AU, October the 5th. Georgia homecoming. So they got Auburn playing Auburn. So they were trying to like show disrespect to Auburn by booking there for homecoming. And then when they promoted it, it put Auburn playing Auburn in that Sanford Stadium in Georgia.
Wow.
Did y'all see that they're going to add a new scoreboard down at the north end?
Yes.
Yes.
I did see that.
Yes.
In Auburn. Yes.
It's going to be 2/3 the size of the one that's already on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But people are pretty happy about that. You know, the people that are on the end or whose season tickets are on the end where the scoreboard is now, so they don't have. They're trying to have to turn their necks to see what's happening on the jumbotron up there. So they're excited that there's going to be a scoreboard at the other end of the field.
Yeah.
And Auburn won the national golf championship over the weekend.
Yes. Yes.
But
and
yeah,
one of the
I
players
saw that about the scoreboard. I'm like, okay, well, is anybody going to actually watch the field, or are they just going to watch the two
Watch
giant
the screens. Right.
And they rolled Tuma's Corners on Saturday after they won.
Yes.
Golf
Yeah.
The golf.
Yeah. I was down there and I was headed over to the hotel or something, and it was all blocked off downtown. I'm like, what's going on? And I saw tissue hanging and all of this stuff. And then I rolled on around and got to the hotel and saw that, you know, Auburn had won the golf tournament, national golf tournament. So they rolled Tuma's Corner. in honor of that.
And one of the players on Auburn's team is actually National Player of the Year. So it's
Yeah.
Auburn's golf team is doing great things.
Yeah.
Cool.
I wonder how many people went to see him.
I
don't know.
Hopefully some.
Yeah, anybody got anything else?
I've got two things for you
Okay.
to throw out there. One, Go Women. Mexico over the weekend elected its first ever in 200 years woman president.
Yes.
She is an engineer by trade, and her grandparents escaped the Holocaust by immigrating to Mexico and, raised their daughter, who in turn had her. And so she is the first woman president and is anticipated to have a majority council, what we would call our Congress.
Right.
So she'll be able to be really effective during
That's
her
wonderful.
term. So that I thought that was really cool.
Yes.
I like that. And then, as you know, as Sean reminded us, June this month is Pride Month. And so, in honor of and in memory of all of my family and friends and former and current colleagues, I just hope that you have a safe month, especially in this environment that is so very intolerant and hostile. And so for all of those that I love and care about who are gay or trans, just be safe as you celebrate your pride this month.
Yes.
Yes.
Good deal. Good deal. Okay, anybody else? All right. Well, thank you. We're going to move on to the conclusion. And, oh, there he is. Hey, buddy.
There's our friend. Hi,
Hi, Isaiah.
Hi there. There's that small smile.
There
you
it
go.
Came right on time.
Yes.
There it is.
Say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see them?
Hi. Yes. We see you. Hi, Isaiah.
Look, he's dancing already.
He's dancing for us.
Okay, now he's out of here.
Okay, anybody got anything else?
Thanks for having us.
Thank
All
you.
righty. Okay, thank you, everybody, for being here. So I'll go to. And I'm going to repeat a closing comment from last week about the NIL and the money involved in college sports. And so the guys who played back in my era, the 1970s, generally comment positively on college athletics today and about college athletes being paid today. Most of the ones I know are in favor of it, but some question, is it going to be the same? Well, my honest answer is I don't know. But playing back in those days took a lot of pride. It took a ton of want to and the grit to hang in there for a scholarship, which was surely worth it, and the $15 a month that it brought with it. So when my teammates and I get together, the fun and laughter is not about how much money we were paid to play, but it's more than likely about the years when we had great years, like we were 9-2, 10-2, 10-1. And how proud we were to post those records up against the Auburn teams of all times. It wasn't about the money, and I wonder what that would have even felt like. And that's our show for today. Let's thank the audience. We appreciate you. Thank our G-List guest, the TWT team. Thank our sponsor, Gurl Inc. Thanks again to the TWT team, Barbara, Sean, Emily, Michael, and Joyce. And that's it on this June the 4th. Remember, a day without a smile is a day wasted. If you've got an extra one, give it to somebody else. Enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe.